Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I am joined by my co-host, Michael Hall, and we are joined by a very special guest, returning guest. He's now associated with the podcast, Mr. Coach Greg Curl. Everyone knows him as the father of starting safety, Kam Curls, and it's what a victory Tuesday it is. We are celebrating the massive victory that Washington had last night over the Seattle Seahawks. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Curl. How are you doing on this great Tuesday?
Hey man, I'm good. I'm good. I mean, it's Victory Tuesday. What's better than Victory Tuesday? Huh?
And probably the only thing better than Victory Tuesday is a Victory Monday, but that's even hard to
Yes.
say, Mr. Curl. Now, I just wanted to say the Burgundy Zone is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. You can find out more at www.listenfrederick.com. Now, 17-15, that was a nail-biter, Mr. Curl, but I would have to say the most explosive thing from last night that happened was Logan Thomas. Impromptu, out of nowhere in his press conference, as he's leaving, he's parting words. He says, you guys need to the media, he says, you guys need to respect Kam Curls more. He is a top 5 safety in the league. Tell him why he's right.
Oh man, the proof is in the film, like he said. Look at the film, and to get that kind of love from your peers, man, that kind of respect from your peers. It's easy for me, a father, to say, easy for fans to say. But from a guy in the locker room, a guy that probably lines up across from him in practice, to get that, I mean, man, that's love right there, man. That's big love.
Yeah, no, 100%. And speaking of the film, if you turn the film on over the past month, this defense, they've been clamping down. They've been playing almost to what everyone thought they would play up to for this year. What do you think is the biggest reason for the turnaround on the defense for these past couple of weeks?
I think it's just the gelling, man. I think it's everybody's comfortable in where they at. Everybody's comfortable in they spot now, so they gelling and not to take anything away from any of the players. You can almost see it last night when Landon went out and Everett came in. It was just a slight disconnect on that last touchdown pass, and it's because he got thrown in there, didn't have enough time to gel with those guys. So that little bit can cause lack of communication. And I just think that everybody's gelling now. And I'm shocked, man. I thought if you look at everything on paper, all the numbers and stuff, we probably should have blew them out. But, I love the way the defense said, hey, we might bend, but we ain't going to break.
Yeah, and Mr. Curl, first thing I have to ask you, obviously Cameron is on the defense, and they held DK Metcalf to 1 catch for 13 yards on only 4 targets. Their most targeted receiver yesterday was Gerald Everett, who was their tight end. So their wide receivers weren't even targeted. How big of a game was that by our corners? And they really did strap up.
Oh, man, they did. They did. To me, that stands out a lot. When you have a guy like DK Metcalf, and you can't throw him the ball. And that's what a lot of things that you see people talking about. Man, they only threw the ball to DK Metcalf 4 times. They only could throw the ball to DK Metcalf 4 times. That's what they should be saying, because defense had them locked down. Because you're not going to throw to DK Metcalf on purpose.
I mean, if you could throw to DK Metcalf on every play and it's a touchdown, you're going to throw to DK Metcalf every play.
You go to throw. Yeah. Our defense, man, they's like, no, go somewhere else, because this option is done. It's done.
It definitely seems like William Jackson III is finally playing up to his potential here in Washington, because he definitely has seemed, ever since the bye week, he has definitely seemed like he's turned a corner.
Yes. And I don't know what they all got fed during the bye week. They came out, readjusted, everybody reset, and they playing good, man. I can't complain right now.
Well, someone else that was coming out of the bye week eating their Wheaties, a full bowl of Wheaties, was Taylor Heinecke. I mean, he's come out of these past couple of weeks. He's beat Tom Brady. He's beat Cam Newton. Now he's taking down Russell Wilson. What are your thoughts on Taylor these past couple of weeks?
Man, Taylor is a dude, man. Taylor Heinecke is a dude. He probably, and not in a negative way, he probably won't be a Pro Bowl type quarterback or one of these, but the dude gets the job done. He's a blue collar worker. He sweats, he bleeds, he fights, he makes stuff happen, dude. Everybody was at the beginning of the season was talking about Fitz magic. Hey, this dude got magic. But I mean, just look at some of the escapes he makes. And he makes those escapes and makes plays. He extend plays and stuff with his legs, with his arms. He thinks quick.
He really does, and he's done a great job at that. And I think one of the most standout things about Taylor from last night's game was his escapability and being able to be so slippery and being able to navigate through those guys, because there was only one sack on Taylor Heinecke in the day. But the other side of that, there was 2 sacks on Russell Wilson in this game, and one of those was by Shaka Toney, who people have been kind of wondering what's going on with those 2 dual 7th-round picks that they had. Shaka Toney showed out, and I think it really goes to his strengths with Russell Wilson, because he's that kind of I'm not going to say lengthy, kind of like Montez Sweat in a way. Kind of. Not like brute strength, but kind of is very fast and flexible. And I think they really did well against Russell Wilson. What do you think of the rookies and these young guys coming up and stepping up big like Keith Ishmael?
Oh, man, they look good. Look good, man. Hey, like I tell anybody, man, when you get your opportunity to show and prove, especially on a Monday night when the whole world is watching, you know what I'm saying? You better show out. You better, you better show up and you better show out. And that's what these young guys is doing, man. And I love the way Shaka Toney played, man, because I've been waiting for that. I was expecting that, and that's what I've been waiting for, and it was good to see.
Yeah, 100%. I'm glad that the young rookies are stepping in and taking the place for Montez and Chase for a little bit. But with that being said, another guy that's been stepping up these past couple of weeks, even though he hasn't really liked his role, like he's been saying, but Landon Collins, I mean, the dude was all over the field last night, flying around. What's your thoughts on Landon Collins' play and kind of that 3 safety rotation that they've been running on defense this season?
Man, I love the 3 safety rotation right now, the way it's going. And that was kind of what I was talking about in the beginning, about everybody in their spot now, and they playing in their spot. I know the nomenclature might not be what he likes, but Landon is balling where he is right now. He's making plays, and his numbers look good, and that's what he should want. He should be happy about that. And I think he is. He is. I don't think nobody's upset for making plays. So he's in a position to make plays, and that's a coach's job, is to be able to put the pieces where they're supposed to be, so to be most effective. So they be most effective as a team, and that's what one of the things is. And I appreciate Landon for, putting aside, that whole thing and accepting that challenge and excelling at that challenge, being put in there. But those guys ball, man. They ball together. Man.
Yes, they do. And Landon actually last night was the leading tackler for this defense with 7, and had 1 tackle for loss and 1 forced fumble that was obviously huge, because it was right after the interception, and that was a huge swing back towards Washington, because if Seattle goes down there and scores, that's a different ball game we're talking about here. And my next question to you is, with Logan Thomas, when he came back, that catch at the end of the game, I was right there in that end zone. I was 7 rows back. I watched the replay go down, and I know Chris Bryant turned around and he asked, he was like, "What do you think?" And I thought, I was like, I don't think there's enough evidence to conclusively say that he dropped it and that he didn't have possession, because in my opinion, his arm was still there. That ball did hit, but it's not like it was bouncing or not in control. What did you think about that? Did you think that was a touchdown?
I thought it was a touchdown. And since I watched it on TV, even the commentators thought it was a touchdown, because his hand was under the ball and he had control. So even if the ground causes the ball to move and you got control of it and your hand is under it, it's a catch. And that's what everybody was saying, the rules experts. I think it shocked everybody when they ruled it incomplete, man. But hey, that's how the story goes. If I'm sure there's a Seattle Seahawk fan somewhere talking about a play that
Oh yeah.
they should have got. But that was, to me, that was a touchdown, and I hated they robbed my boy from that touchdown.
Yeah, no, definitely. Hey, we came out on top, so it all worked out in the end. But with that being said, Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick. I mean, they've since really McKissick, the whole season's been doing this thing. But Antonio Gibson really since the
Career
bye week,
day.
he's been literally since the bye week, he's been coming in, look like a fresh running back. What's your thoughts on them, and do you think they can keep it up towards the rest of the season? Like, do you think they'll be able to carry this team and carry this offense?
Oh yeah, yeah. Staying healthy, yeah, that's gonna be the key. Keeping those two guys healthy, because man, they are 1-2 punch. That you definitely need in this league. Because your runs can set up the pass and open it up for the receivers, and then we got two dynamic backs.
Yeah.
One that's a prolific catcher too, and oh my God, and when
That
Gibson gets his shoulders squared, man, and run, he don't, he, to me, he don't look like the big power back, but he runs like a big power back
yeah.
sometimes. He makes it hard to tackle him and take down, and I like that.
Yeah, he does. And it was a career day. 29 carries, 111 yards, 3.8 average, 7 receptions, and 35 yards for Antonio Gibson, which is absolutely incredible
Mm-hmm.
given the fact that Seattle only ran the ball for 34 yards and their leading rusher was Russell Wilson. But I think it goes a lot to
Wow.
Antonio Gibson. And I wanted to ask you this question to branch off of Hall's, Mr. Curl. Do you think that Antonio
Uh,
Gibson kind of solidified himself as a 3-down back last night and like a step in that direction?
yeah, a step in that direction, most definitely. Yeah, but uh, in this league, you know, I know everything come down to the dollar, and a three down back get paid very well.
Mm,
But if my thing is, if you don't have to be a three down back, I'm thinking longevity. If I got another guy, we can share this punishment coming up through this hole and on these runs and stuff. That's longevity.
for
In
your
my
career,
career, in my
yeah.
in my body and stuff. So yeah, it solidifies him as being a three down back. But hey, right now you got some help.
Mm.
It's about the team. I know, it's a team sport, but I know the contracts are individual, and you got to do what you got to do for your bread. But right now, he solidified it, but hey, he got help and welcome that help.
The best ability is availability, right? Isn't that right, Mr.
Yeah,
Curl?
that's right. That's right.
And speaking of this, of holding Russell Wilson and this offense to only 34 rushing yards, I mean, they absolutely destroyed them on the ground. But one of the reasons that was so is because of this defensive line. Ever since they lost Chase Young and Montez Sweat, it seems like Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen have really taken a hold and grabbed this defense and solidified themselves as leaders. And they've been a constant force consistently. Are they like
Yeah.
the best interior duo in the NFL?
Oh heck yeah, heck yeah. But you know what too? I think some of that is play calling at the line too, that they got better, because I don't think that they took the same risks with those two as being menacing up the middle when you got those two edge guys
Right.
out there like that. So I got these two edge guys, so I might play a little bit more conservative with my inside guys,
Right.
to just hold back and hold the pocket, let these guys rush it. Now I see them coming from everywhere now, which they should have been doing in the beginning of the season, but
Yep.
hey, I ain't a coach. Hey, give everybody a chance to eat, send it from everywhere. And that's one thing that's another thing I like about that those three safeties back there. A lot of times when you send it in, you don't know where it's coming from.
Well,
You
exactly
know,
to your point. Kam Curl, your son, yesterday, 4 tackles, 1 sack. And one of those, that 1 sack he had where he blitzed off the edge, absolutely perfect. He was able to wrap him up, to your point there about blitzing more.
Yeah. I saw that too because he was untouched. It was like him and Landon was racing to the quarterback. Boy, that was nice. That was nice, and they fooled him, man, because I think Russell thought it was an all-out blitz, and he was gonna have a little one step back and just throw it over their heads. But when he saw the linebackers take a step back, and they go into zone coverage, I don't even think he saw Cam.
Oh,
He had to see Landon because Landon was coming right in his face. But yeah, I don't think he even saw that.
Cam had that outright. I saw Cam take that physical all the way to the ground. I watched that happen. Sorry, Hall.
Yeah. So a couple weeks back, I think it was, I want to say after that Denver game, we had the podcast and we were kind of just talking about like where do we go from here? Like what do you want to see from the team coming out of the bye week in the second half of the season? And one of the things I said was I just want to see them kind of form an identity and stick to that identity and just be that team going forward. And it kind of seems like they found that. Do you think they found their identity of this team? And do you think they're going to be able to carry that not only this year, but with the whole next year and going forward with the whole Ron Rivera era?
Yeah, I think they should. Uh, you know, I think the coaches should say, "Hey, look at what we got, and let's keep it that way." Because the way we ran the ball, man, at last night, and the way our offensive line won on almost every down, won. Hey, that's what we should do. Because when you pound and pound and pound, and they start inching those linebackers up and those safeties up, then you can throw over their head, open it up, and that helps everybody else. But yeah, I think we found an identity as a run team. Stop the run. You're gonna stop me from running before I do anything else. And the defense is flying, around the ball.
Oh yeah.
Like they should be. They
Oh
looking
yeah.
more like the end of last year now, because they getting there. They getting there, and they coming with bad intentions too, which is good. Which
Yeah.
is good. That's why I always like this. I used to always like the Seahawks defense because of the way they hit.
Mm.
And then I see us doing that too. They weren't hitting too hard last night. Maybe Adams, but we took that out of.
My boy, Bobby Wagner was all over the field
Oh
last
yeah,
night. He had
yes,
14
yeah,
tackles that he had, and he's an absolute monster. I think that
yeah.
now
He's
puts him
a
like
freak.
129 through 12 games, which
God,
is just
he's a
absolutely
freak, man.
unreal,
Yeah,
right? Now to wrap this up, Mr. Curl, my last question to you: we give out game beers, and we do keg stands in case anyone needs it that needs to tighten up their stuff. They're screwing up. They need a
yeah.
keg stand to fix their stuff. But game beers go to guys who deserve to kick their feet up, enjoy the night because they worked their butt off last night and they did well. They did their job. They executed it well. Besides your son, who deserves a game beer?
Man, you know what? I can't, not taking anything from anyone, but if I got to give a game beer to anybody, and if I can sit down with him and share that beer, it's gonna be a Taylor Heinecke, man.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a Taylor Heinecke fan. Just the way he grits it out, man, and he
Mm.
comes up with stuff. I was gonna say Terry McLaurin. Hey, man, it's a lot of guys, but yeah, I'm gonna give it to the lead dog right now, Taylor Heinecke. Our starting quarterback right now.
I'm
You
not
know,
sure. I'm not sure if Terry drinks beer. I'm not sure. Terry seems like much more classy of a
yeah,
guy than to drink. I couldn't
Like
see Terry
he
drinking a
seems
beer.
like a champagne guy.
Yeah, he does.
yeah.
Yeah, he does.
I'm glad you didn't say a seltzer guy. Don't be
I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything. Mr. Curl, this was a pleasure as always, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. It has been a pleasure watching Cam throughout this season, and honestly, has
Thank you,
become the
guys.
professional that he is. Because I know Jonathan Allen has really taken him under his wing the past couple weeks. Cam has responded. They've given him tough task after tough task, and the kid continues to respond and do well. Coach Curl, I can't thank you enough for joining us, being such a great supporter of ours, sir. I hope you have a great night. I hope you guys had a happy Thanksgiving, by the way. Didn't even bring that
Oh
up.
yes, we did. We did. How about you guys?
Oh, it was fantastic. We answered what our favorite sides were. Mine was sweet potato with marshmallows. His Hall's was stuffing. What's your favorite Thanksgiving side?
Uh, Mine is cornbread dressing. He said stuffing.
Yeah.
Black people don't eat stuffing. We eat cornbread dressing, man.
That's
It's funny
fantastic.
you said that because I had called it stuffing because I didn't know if like they knew what dressing was, so I was like, I'm
Oh,
gonna call it
okay.
stuffing
All right.
instead of
All
chicken.
right. Okay.
Don't blame it on us. Don't blame it on us, all. That's messed up. Coach Curl, thank you so much for joining us, sir. I hope
Uh,
you have a great night, my brother.
all right, you too, man.
All
Y'all
right, man, have a good one.
stay up.
Appreciate it.
Have a
All
good
right.
one. All right, everybody. Before we head on to our next guest, we are going to head on to listen to Manscaped Dad. Ho, 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 gentlemen. Just like myself, the holidays came early here at Manscaped, the leading men's hygiene brand. Manscaped just launched new products, including their new Ultra Premium Body Wash and 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. Everyone likes a 2-for-1 deal. It's time to give yourself, or someone who needs it, the gift of beautiful skin, hair, and balls this holiday season. Go to manscaped.com and use the code BurgundyZone for 20% off plus free shipping. And welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, what a game last night. I sat 7 rows back. It was a whole thing. I got to be there for the game. I sat in like the family section. Like I was next to like Kendall Fuller's family. Like down there near the Chris Bryant and the tunnel coming out. That was absolutely incredible experience, dude. Watching that victory, because time and time again, I've gone to that stadium. I was there for the Monday Night Massacre. You know, I've been there for like the horrible games. I've gone down there, going for prime time, always leaving pissed off that stadium. I'm telling you, dude, for the first time last night, I thought about this. You know when you're at the stadium and the opposing fans like take it over as the game's going on, like they just, and you know that feeling when you get there that it's going to happen based on how tension is and everything. Dude, last night when they were cheered about stuff, last night was the first time ever as a Washington fan I was in that stadium where I felt confident that they were going to shut them up. Because I was like, okay, just wait, we got it. And I remember thinking that, and for the first time ever, I was like, dude, that's a big step right there.
Yeah, it's funny you said that because I was like scrolling. First of all, I'm kind of like salty that I didn't go because I don't know you like offered me a ticket and just wanted to go, and I'm kind of like blown that I didn't go because first of all it was a great game, but second of all it was great seats. Got to be behind like you said Kendall Fuller's parents, Bud Foster, people like that. So that's cool. But yeah, as far as the everything else, like I was scrolling through Twitter like before the game and during the game, and I think it was George. There was a couple other people that were saying that even though people kept saying, "Oh, there's not a lot of people here," and they were making like a big thing about that, they were saying the energy and
Oh
from
yeah.
the fans was definitely there, and it was definitely like a lot of cheering, a lot of support for the team. So hopefully it's gonna keep growing and growing and growing as the season goes on, and we keep hopefully winning games.
Yeah, dude. Seriously, that was an absolute incredible experience. Watching that game go on. Winning 17 to 15, heading to 5-6, winning 3 straight. This is the team that we thought was going to be here at the beginning of the season. It's unfortunate that we have to do it without Chase Roulier. We have to do it without Wes Schweitzer. We have to do it without Tyler Larson. Now on Keith Ishmael. But I'm glad to see Keith Ishmael come in the game and completely ball out. And speaking of that, let's do our game beers real quick. And the first one, I got to give to Keith Ishmael. I mean, the dude came in off the bench and executed perfectly well. His block on the J.D. Mckissick touchdown screen was beautiful. Him and Brandon Sheriff getting out there, doing just enough to be able to spring J.D. Mckissick. Dude, I think that he deserves a game beer personally.
No, yeah, I mean that's a great one. Like you said, just coming in off the bench. Obviously, coming into the game, you kind of just expect like I'm not gonna get into the game, just another Week 12 game, like blah blah blah. But for him to step in there, be calling out all the blocks, everything like that, the Mike linebacker, all the protections. So yeah, shout out to Keith Ishmael. My game beer is gonna have to go to, even though he didn't have a big role and he was on a pitch count. I just like to see him out there. That number 10 was out there flying around.
Oh, wow.
You mentioned the J.D. McKissick block. Or the J.D. McKissick touchdown run. He had a key block on that to spring him down the little the seam right there, get him into the end zone. Got to give it to my man Curtis Samuel. Hopefully, coming out of this game, he's not sore or anything. Hopefully, we'll have him against the Raiders in Las Vegas on Sunday. But he gets a game beer just because I'm happy to see him out there, and I'm happy that he's back on the field. And hopefully, we'll see him down the stretch out there making plays and racking up the yards.
I know this is like really cheap and a stupid way to do this, but I believe it's all the guys in the trenches. I know I just said Keith Ishmael, but the entire offensive line and the entire defensive line. for the defensive line, holding to Russell Wilson this offense of 34 yards rushing is incredible. I know they weren't a very good rushing team anyway, but the fact being, knowing that it's Russell and without Montez Sweat and Chase Young, they took control of that game. Daron Payne was a menace last night. It was absolutely destroying that offensive line, was controlling everything. Everyone keeps wondering why Russell Wilson was sailing balls and throwing over people's heads. It's because he was trying not to get killed. And then Shaka Toney and Casey Toohill, they showed up. Shaka Toney with the one sack. And then I think Casey Toohill had a tackle that could have been a sack on Russell Wilson on a big key third down that he chased him down on. They did a great job defensively. And the offensive line, going against Bobby Wagner and that kind of linebacker, and being able to have Antonio Gibson carry the ball for 111 yards, I think that they deserve game beers. All the big boys, Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne, Matt Ioannidis, Tim Settle, all you dudes did work last night. Kick your feet up. Enjoy it.
Yeah, another game beer for me is going to be another unconventional, not really a standout person that was on the field. This is a guy that was a standout off the field, Scott Turner. I'm clapping it up for Scott Turner right now because these past 3 weeks.
They had, dude, 41 time of possession, 41 minutes. Seattle had 18. 41 minutes.
Less than 20 minutes of time of possession for Seattle. That means we are getting the ball. We're converting third downs. We're converting first and short, second and shorts, setting ourselves up for great third down conversions. We're converting those third downs. And that also means that Scott Turner, as well as the players on the field, obviously, they're executing it. But that means Scott Turner's dialing up great plays, great calls. I kind of wish that in the red zone he would get a little bit more creative with it and a little bit more exotic with it. But it's not time to critique. This is a game beer time. Kick your feet up. Crack that beer. You deserve it.
You're absolutely right about that. I do agree with Scott Turner that he does deserve it. I think that he has called his butt off the past couple weeks. I do think that Taylor Heinecke obviously has a lot to do with that. Obviously, speaking with being able to execute, putting guys in position. But game beer, honestly, I know I'm going to get cheap with it. John Matsko, offensive line coach, for what he's been able to do, because I know we keep talking about the center position and there's four being on the fourth center now. We also imagine Cornelius Lucas has been playing right tackle too. We haven't had Sam Cosme, and he's been playing. We have continued to run the ball well, protect Taylor Heinecke very well. Got to give credit to John Matsko, man. He has really produced this offensive line. And dude, they're brawlers. And when is the last time that we've had an offensive line that actually inflicted their will upon an opposing defense? And I don't think it's happened very often, especially recently. But now, guys, we are joined by our special guest, Hollywood himself. Hollywood decided to come over to the East Coast, Mr. Rio Robinson from on the Rambling About Washington podcast by Rio, and fan ambassador, dude. I know you were at the game last night. I'm surprised you didn't freeze to death. Was it tequila? What kept you saying?
Yeah, the tequila definitely warmed me up because I'm not a drinker. And my guy Jalen, shout out to him, he made me take a couple shots before we walked in the stadium. But man, the game, I couldn't help but warm up watching the game because we never make it easy on ourselves, man. We always got to make it a cardiac arrest type thing, man. How y'all feeling right now?
Fantastic, Rio. And we were just talking about game beers that we were giving out to people. I said the offensive line, defensive line. Coach Curl, we had on earlier, said Taylor Heinecke would get his game beer for what he did. If somebody, let's give an unsung game beer to somebody you wouldn't think of normally.
For me, Landon Collins. Linebacker Landon has been a different person, man. He's like a rejuvenated soul. Like it's like we acquired a new player over the last couple of weeks because
Seriously.
he's been so like against playing the position because he just feels innately like he's a safety. But look at the difference. He's flying around the field again, man. He was all over the place. That fumble was big time. I'm gonna go Landon.
Dude, we were just talking about that earlier and how much of a game changer that was because it was right after the pick, right? And so that would have been devastating for us to be able to lose those points because you're kind of trying to build confidence, right? You know what I'm saying? But let's move on to our fan questions here. And the first one's going to be from the Colonel, Rio, and I want to go to you with this. He wants your thoughts on the offensive line doing great, even though they're super thin. He wants to know, do we have the personnel to keep up our newfound offensive explosiveness?
Hey, man, like you were just saying, man, John Matsko's unit, they are the next man up. Like, it's a cliche, and I hate NFL cliches, but when you're on like your fifth center and you're still doing work up front, that's a good testament of coaching. And it's not like we have the craziest talent up front. I mean, Brandon Sheriff is the biggest name on our line, and he's probably not even playing the best in the unit. Like he seems like he's the most penalized, and he's never reliable. But despite the injuries and however the O-line is shuffled, it seems like there's still a top 7 to 10 unit in the league, and nobody could have guessed that coming into the season. So whatever special stuff Ron got going over this bye week, I need them to keep rolling it into this weekend in Vegas. I think we can keep the ball rolling offensively.
Yeah, and then today, obviously, what happened in the game, Rio, I didn't get to see it live because of what was happening. It's hard to be able to see what's happening on the field. Joey Sly went down, pulled his hammy. Coach Rivera in his presser today says it's most likely going to be a couple weeks, 3 weeks at least, for Joey Sly. So they signed Brian Johnson, a fellow Virginia Tech kicker. Recent, he's only 22 years old. At Virginia Tech, he had 76% for field goals, 54 of 71. In the pros, he bounced off from the Bears to the Saints, back to the Bears. Now he's with us. He was 8 for 8 in the pros. 52 is his longest. And then he is 100% on, and then for extra points, he's at 62%. Where in college, he was 100%. So like flip-flops. How concerned are you, Rio, about the kicker spot right now?
I mean, how concerned can I be? We're on number 4 for the season. We're at our 4th kicker. Only in Washington can you go through 4 kickers in a season and have your kicker be injured on an extra point blocked on like the last play of the first half. Like that is the most Redskin shit I've ever seen.
Dude, seriously, it is, man. And it's crazy to see that this guy is the one that we're pulling in. But I will say, since he went to Virginia Tech, I would not be surprised if maybe Joey Sly had something to do with that. And saying, yeah, this kid can kick. You could be comfortable with him. He's great. He just needs the ability to be able to do
anything's better than Blewett.
Hey, don't beat up on the kid, man. It's not his fault. I mean, seriously, I'd probably change my last name if I was him.
Definitely.
Dude, what did you think, Rio? I wanted to get your opinion also, Hall, on this. With that 4th down at the end of the game, there's about less than 2 minutes left, and we decided to go for it on that 4th down. We're right on the 3-yard line, and instead of trying to kick the field goal with Tress, I know it's kind of weird and everything to snap and everything like that. Did you think by going forward was the right move, Rio? Because the kicking that field goal would have put him up by 11, and the game would have been over.
Nah, because we can't lose Tress too. I can't take no chances. What was Tress? 1 of 6 in his college career as a field goal.
What can't Tress do, Rio? What can't he do?
Hell yeah, but what I don't need him to do is mess around and get hurt if it gets blocked or something, man. I like the call. I was on the riverboat for the call, man, and we were a pointed football to the ground away from that call being 100% correct. So I think I would do the same thing again, even though we didn't score. But yeah, I feel them for not trotting out the punter to kick a field goal.
The only reason I want to do it is because I know Tress could do it, especially kicking an 18-yard field goal. I think you could easily do that, and it would grow to the legend of Tressway here in Washington. You know what I mean? The fact that he came in and kicked the field goal to win on Monday night to break the curse. The curse is over, my friend.
Yep.
What about you, Hall? Do you agree with Rio there?
Yeah, no, I agree with Rio. I agree with the coaching staff going for it. I didn't even really realize this until like after the fact that Tressway is left-footed, so you got to like switch the snap, or not the snap, but got to switch the holder and everything like that. And also, he's the holder for the field goal kicker anyway, so I guess it would be Kyle Allen next man up. But either way, I was good with the call. Like Rio said, we were pointed the ball away from it being the right call. And hindsight's always like 20/20 or 50/50, whatever the number is. So we wouldn't be talking about this if Logan Thomas would have came down with that, or if they didn't reverse the call because it was a call on the field anyway. So if they never would have reversed it, we wouldn't be talking about it. So
yeah, that's true. It's a good
point. It was the right call, and the offense was kind of in a great little flow. They were driving the ball down the field. They had a couple of calls go their way on that drive. So I just felt like the momentum was always going that way anyway to go for it on 4 down. So.
Yeah, I knew that they were going to go for it on 4th, and because Tress was in there, because they didn't have Joey anymore, just figured so. But it thought of me like I know who Tress is. I know that he could easily kick it, but I do love the aggressive nature of it, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And we all screwed up. We all deserve to be to be backlash because we didn't. Mr. B, the Colonel, his game ball. He said he's going to the fan who shoved Gerald Everett out of the stands. He tried to do the Lambo leap at FedEx, and I think he's absolutely right. He definitely does deserve a game beer for that.
That was dope.
That was like kind of like the microcosm of like the Washington fan base coming back as like a powerful, strong fan base. That dude saying, no, not in Washington, baby. We got that dominance back. Credit to that guy. That was awesome.
I think they had him on the radio today on 106.7 The Fan. I think they had him on Grant and Danny.
Did they really? Oh, that's smart, dude. That's very smart. Next question from the Colonel was, with Heinecke's surprising performances, will franchise quarterback still be our number one offseason pursuit, Mr. Rio?
This conversation never gets old, does it?
No. That's he knew. He just subconsciously knew you were on the show tonight.
It's a week-to-week conversation.
Yeah, it is a week-to-week conversation, and every single pass attempt is like a microcosm on the quarterback, and we can go back and forth. Right now, I'm enjoying the Heinecke show. Like, he's at least proved to me that he should at least be on this roster going forward. He's a dog. He's getting better. He's learning how to he's learning patience. Sometimes he's a little bit too patient for me because the ball doesn't come out as soon as it needs to. Yeah. But I like the dude, man. You can't help but like him and rally around this guy. The locker room loves him, and he's galvanizing that room right now. But I still think you have to go get a franchise quarterback, but who knows if we get to week 18 and Taylor's around 30 touchdowns, 4,000 yards, and he's leading us to our second in a row division title, which has never happened in my lifetime as a fan, then we may be having a real conversation about, is he the starter or at least the bridge while some young guy sits behind him? So like, he's playing with the biggest chip on his shoulder, and you can tell he wants to be here long term. Like, the guy's character is awesome. I love to see him hype the guys up. They should mic him up every week going forward because the personality is amazing. I love the dude, man. I like him.
They should have the beer helmet set up for him every game. If we get the W, you get the beer helmet, Taylor. If we don't, when you come back in the locker room, it won't be here for you. That's how I kind of am with it. Taylor last night, 27 of 35, 223 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. That interception wasn't on him. I knew it was late, and it was late because Bobby Wagner played it really well underneath. He had to float it over him to Logan, so he kind of had to put in a different spot. You're like kind of waiting for Logan to get to a certain area, and it screwed everything up because it popped in the air and it got intercepted. But besides that, Taylor played a great game, in my personal opinion. And John Allen said something in his presser last night. And he said, look, it's great what we've done, but consistency is what we need. And that we need to be consistent with the way that we play going forward. And, yeah, this is great, but we need to keep working. We have a lot to work on. We need to be consistent with it. And I think that's what it is with Taylor.
Hell yeah. I love Jonathan Allen, man.
Taylor's on a hot streak. Taylor's on a hot streak, and there's no doubting that he is. He's playing incredibly well right now, but I needed the consistency. What happens when you're not on that hot streak anymore and you're starting to get lukewarm? How are you going to play then? Are you going to go back to throwing ducks? And I believe in Taylor. I truly, truly do. I just got to be hard. I'm just not in love yet, but I'm really liking what I'm seeing. What about you, Hall?
Yeah.
Sorry, Rio.
Yeah, no, I'm with both you guys. I look at it from two sides of it, and then Ron Rivera's kind of said this a couple times whenever people have asked him, especially recently, about the quarterback. Is he on the roster already? Is he going to be a free agent, or is it a guy in the draft? So that's the kind of the way I look at it. Whereas, if it's going to be a free agent, then more than likely they're going to go big game fishing for a quarterback in free agency. If it's going to be a franchise type guy. So does that push Taylor back to the backup? Do they come in and battle, kind of like a Matt Flynn, Russell Wilson type situation, which I don't think that would happen. If they're going to spend the money on the guy, they're probably going to make him the starter, kind of like they did with Fitz this year. Or are you going to draft a guy, which obviously then going to 2022, you would have Taylor Heinecke as the franchise guy going forward,
right?
While the young guy sits. So to answer the question in a long-winded sentence I just put out, I do think that he is going to be the guy because I do think they're going to go quarterback in the draft. I don't know if it's going to be first round, second round, whatever round it might be, but I do think they go a young guy in the draft and have Taylor start in 2022 and be that kind of bridge guy.
Yeah. Taylor is the kind of story that you'd want to put in front of this rebrand that we got coming. Like he's that really like his personality. Can you imagine him in the hype trailer for the new name, whatever that name is? I can see Taylor doing it, man, because he is this infectious personality, and you want to root for the guy. Even when I'm like slamming him for his play and that very, very abysmal month that he had, like, you can't not like the guy, and he's not trash, and he's proven every week that he is a legitimate NFL quarterback, and I'm happy for him. I know he better show out this week versus Vegas, because that quarterback they got down there could be someone that we try to acquire in the offseason. So
yes, sir.
I'm
I'm
warming up to him. I'm warming up to him. That smile after the flag against Dallas warmed me up to Derek Carr. The fact that he could beat the Cowboys, I like him a little bit more.
Sinister, evil villain smile.
But dude, that guy had a Vegas Knights hat on. That one interview that he did recently with his brother, actually.
Yeah, he loves Vegas.
Yeah, so that I think that he's staying. Dude, he's like Taylor in that way. Like he wants to stay with his people. You know what I mean? Now let's head on to our next question here, and that is from our guy Sergio Martin, and this one's for you, Rio, because this is about your dude. What about the news from RG3 with his new books, Surviving Washington?
Surviving Washington.
Dude, I hate this guy. Like, oh my, I despise RG3 so much, because I was one of the first people on the train that to get off the train and say, listen,
cheers,
the guy backing him up, cheers. The guy backing him up is better than him. And I remember all the flack I caught from the fan base. I was like, yo, he rushed back because Kirk can play quarterback better than him, and Kyle was going to give him a full playbook if he got on the field, and that frightened him. God, he's just such an attention whore. Like, this dude, man. He got ESPN and Disney backing him now. So he even trying to include some sexual harassment stuff. Like, it's like he's hitting all of the buzz topics. Like, oh, let me bask in my moment. Like a month and a half ago, he wasn't tweeting the team talking about make the call. If he don't get the hell out of here with that BS, man.
No, he definitely did. I know that was a joke of what he said. But one thing I'll say regarding this, like, I know he had said stuff about the sexual assault allegations, all that. I think it's disgusting for him to do that, because we all know that if there was anything verifiable or actually good inside that book, it would be used in other ways. And if you're keeping it to yourself by this point, that's not a good look on your part. And using that to your benefit to get book sales, that's a really bad look on your part. Yeah. Using people's tragedy and what happened to them as a way for you to make money, using it, like you said, as a buzzword to sell, I think that's very gross. But one thing I will say, if there was anybody that's a bigger fan of RG3 than RG3 and his dad, it was Dan Snyder. And so for him to kind of do that, and like, because like that's the one dude that would have brought you back. If anybody in this organization was going to be cool bringing you back, it was that guy. And I'm pretty sure by doing all that, you screwed yourself in the butt, dude.
Surviving Washington.
And the other thing
I seen that, I was so
what a bad choice of words too. Alex Smith literally almost died playing quarterback in his injury here in Washington, and RG3 has the balls to call his book "Surviving Washington." Like, come on, dude, you need to chill. Like, why do you have to make it like that?
Like, this dude was given not just the keys to the car, he was given the keys to the whole damn franchise, and he was all about RG me, the ego, everything was about him. That's why it boils my blood when people say it wasn't his fault that he didn't succeed here. I was like, I put a lot of the blame on him. Yes, there were other factors involved, but I would say Robert gets the largest share of that pie for me. And it just goes to show, like, this guy hasn't been a quality football player for about a decade now, and he still wants to be relevant.
Yeah.
Good luck, man.
You're absolutely right, Rio.
All I'm going to say to that is he's talking about how the medical staff mismanaged his injury and blah, blah, blah. Okay, yes, everyone knows this is like a well-known thing that the medical staff was like subpar back in the day. My whole thing is, did the medical staff say, hey, RG3, you should make a documentary and go all in for week 1? So, no, the book is whack. He's whack. I can't even remember what I was going to say. But
I'm not going to hate on the dude for trying to make money. Like, do your thing. It's just trying to make money off of people's tragedy and stuff like that, using it as an incentive for people to go out and buy, like, oh, we're going to find dirt on Dan in this book. You're not. Because if there was any dirt, it had already been used, and he'd be getting sued, meaning RG, would be getting sued for defamation and all this other stuff by Dan, and he knows that
yeah.
better than anybody.
Oh, yeah, he'd get the Superman
Yeah.
sock suit off of him by Daniel, and you know he'll do it too.
Absolutely.
I just wish this guy one day sits down in front of a camera and takes accountability for the part that he played in his failures here in DC. I just want to hear it.
Last thing I'll say about it before we move on to the next one, even though it's the same thing. After RG3 left, everyone always said it was our offensive line's fault. RG3 played in, I think, 4 games, 12 less than Kirk that year, and Kirk got sacked one more time in 12 more games, and with the same offensive line that he had. And that was when RG was in Cleveland. So it looks like it was not the offensive line's issue for why RG was getting sacked so much. Now, our next question, Rio, this one's from Andy. Burroughs in the UK. Oi! Appreciate you, brother, on this Victory Tuesday. He wants to know, it's a kind of double-edged sword question. With all the good stuff we are doing now on the field, Rio, will always be held back with all the off-the-field stuff going on. The ladies wanting to report, now the RG3 book coming out next year. So to fully rebuild and rebrand, does the off-the-field situation need to be resolved once and for all?
I'm not sure it's possible for off-the-field issues to ever be resolved because Daniel's always going to own this team. Like this is not something that we should want to accept, but this team is going to be Daniel Snyder's, and he's going to live to be like 100 years old. And when he dies, he's going to pass the team to his son. We're going to be Snyder-owned forever. We need to accept this inevitable fact. Off the field will always exist. If the team wins games, continues to go to the playoffs, and could build that momentum and stack it next to a cool killing of the rebrand, like, the off-field stuff fades because people forget about a lot when you're winning games.
Yes.
A lot.
I totally agree with you there. No, I don't think so, Andy. Time heals all wounds, to be perfectly honest, and I think they are trying to right their wrongs. They figure out what's going on, and they're trying to fix it. Now, as much as anyone wants to point the light on what has happened in the past and try to use that in order to change what's going to happen in the future with this organization, I think we should learn from that and make sure it never happens again, not to use it as a way to get something that we want that is taking away property from somebody that doesn't really seem feasible, in my personal opinion. Anything to add, Hall?
Nah, y'all pretty much hit it on the head. I'm pretty much 100% with what Rio said, where if you can just keep stacking these wins, keep stacking the continuity of, hey, this is a new age, new era, and the perception matches what's on the field. As far as off the field, then, like you said, the off the stuff field fades away. And I mean, look at the Patriots. Everyone accuses them of cheating, but guess what? They still call them the Patriots. They still call them the dynasty. They still call them the GOATs. So they still got their rings. So at the end of the day,
hell yeah,
winning cures all, and winning will Thanos all the off-field stuff like that.
My man, dude, what a great reference, Hall. Let's keep it with you, Hall. Our next question is from our guy Meast21, our guy Brandon Reinbold.
Brandon,
love you, brother. Stay warm, dude. He wants to know, Hall, what statues of former players or coaches of this team would you want in front of the new stadium?
Well, obviously they're gonna do the Sean T statue, so that's one checked off the list. Probably go Art Monk because I'm a receiver type guy, so he's probably one of the best, obviously, in the history of the franchise. And then obviously you got to go with the man, the myth, the legend, Darryl Green, because again he's another legend, another.
I think that's easy.
Another legend in the franchise. So if I had to pick any three, it'd probably be those three.
Yeah, and if there was like a Joe Gibbs, like you could ever put like a Joe Gibbs in a player, that's Darryl Green, like Joe Gibbs version, if that makes sense. Like I totally agree with you there. I think Sammy Ball and Joe Gibbs both deserve statues. I know that everyone right now is really harping with Sean. I think Sean obviously deserves a statue at the stadium, and I definitely think there should be like an exhibit for Sean, like showing plays that he played in games, like showing what happened in that game, so like the younger fan base can kind of learn about Sean and exhibit at the stadium if they want to go look. I feel like that'd be kind of a cool aspect respect.
I think it's going to be more like some type of like really dope memorial. And Jason was telling me on a call I had with him last week about some of the ideas he has going into that. It's going to be fan involved, how the memorial works, and he has some really cool ideas for it, man. It's gonna be really nice, man.
I'm excited for that. Do you have anyone else that you think they should get a statue, Rio, besides the guy who just pushed Gerald Everett out of the end zone?
That guy should definitely get a statue.
He needs a statue.
You know, he should get a statue to Nard Jackson. Now we always hype a Jag up. Like whenever we cut a Jag player, like, oh my God, we're gonna rue the day that we let Kelvin Harmon hit free agency and stuff like that. Now Joe Gibbs, either the stadium should be named after him, the new one, or he should get a large stat. The guy may have the most impressive coaching resume of all time. The guy won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks. He was the system. Yeah. There was no marriage to this all-time great player. Like, it's still debatable whether Washington has ever had a franchise quarterback, and Gibbs took him to 5 and won 3 Super Bowls. Like, that's insanity. I couldn't even fathom that type of success. It all stopped the year I was born, and I'm still waiting to see it. So the man, the myth, the legend that I grew up hearing about and I saw coach in the 2000s, he should definitely have a statue or the name on the stadium.
Yeah, dude, everything that guy touches turns to gold. Now, our next question is from our guy, Big Tony Shivers, in our Discord chat server. He said, especially with Mckissick being banged up, do you think we'll see Curtis Samuel get more rushing attempts a la Cordero Patterson and Deebo Samuel?
Maybe. Well, you know what? No, I don't think they will, because I think they're still trying to keep him on a pitch count because they're still trying to work him back from a groin injury. They don't want to get him back and they have to go out again. So I think that they're going to, maybe the jet sweeps, they're going to keep him with that. Maybe a couple, intermediate to, short routes as far as, the passing game. But I don't see them really getting, as far as, really, really in-depth like they plan to with Curtis Samuel. Unless it comes down to, week 17, 18, he's still fresh, he's still good. Then maybe I think they'll start getting more involved like that. But I think J.D. Mckissick, if he misses this game, he'll be back within a week or two. So, yeah.
I definitely do. I really do. I thought Curtis looked really good coming out, and using those jet sweeps, the defense has to respect it. So Curtis has to get that ball sometimes, right? And they're definitely going to use it. That's how he was utilizing Carolina, motioning to the backfield. And if you're going to have issues with J.D. Mckissick, that passing catch not being there, I know J.D. said earlier today on his Twitter, he wrote that he's all good. And in my personal opinion, what I saw on the field looked like he got knocked out cold. And he was legit out. I thought when Brandon Sheriff saw his eyeballs and it looked like most likely they were rolling the back of his head, Brandon immediately yelled over the sideline, like, come here, come here, come here. And he definitely seemed out of it. He couldn't even walk off the field. So I definitely think it's a concussion. Hopefully JD takes as much time as he needs to get back, because you don't know with concussions, sometimes they can linger for 24 to 48 hours. So you got to wait and see what's going on with J.D. Mckissick. But I would expect to see Curtis at least taking some of the flack off of the pressure of that running game, because using those outsides, which I think is pivotal, especially in some of those 3rd and 1s and 4th and 1s that we didn't convert last night, when we just ran it right up the gut and got stopped 3 or 4 times. I would like to see the edges used a little bit more there. Yeah, I would love to see the edges used a little bit more there with Curtis Samuel. I think that'd be perfect in my opinion. Anything to add, Rio?
Nah, I would like to see Curtis used in that role, but like Hall, I'm going to have to lean with him being on a pitch count for the meantime. It was just nice to see him catch that bubble screen and go with it, man. It was beautiful to see. Just having him and Logan back while we're finally taking shape in this divisional gauntlet we got coming up, I have so much optimism for it. Just let Jarrett Patterson get some burn, put some tread on those young tires, and let's keep it rolling. And feed Gibby. Gibby had, 36 touches yesterday?
Career day, man.
Feed him. Finally. Hold on to the football, but feed him.
Yeah. Look, the way that I feel about it, if you get called up to work, there's not going to be any crutches being pulled out for you. When you're at work, you're at work. So you better be able to be at your full ability. So if Curtis is playing, you better be able to do whatever is asked of you. And I would expect him to. I'm sure he's biting at the bit. Now, our next question is from Orange Crush 92, a huge fan of ours. The first question is, I know y'all want to win in on Jamin Davis' first performance in one of the last couple games, but how did he and the linebackers do in the Seahawks game? Rhea.
Jamin looked better. It was funny. I was so upset in the first quarter because there were some plays I seen that he could have definitely helped stop, but he made some big tackles late, and he's improving in coverage. I just think we set the bar high, and that's a position that takes some time to develop. Cole Holcomb's been good. Cole Holcomb's been more than good. He's been really good in that unit, and they played a good game yesterday. We kept Russell Wilson under 200 yards, and Everett, he made a couple plays, but the tight ends didn't go crazy on us yesterday.
No, he was targeted. Gerald Everett was targeted 9 times, but he did have the lone touchdown. And on that, Cole Holcomb, 4 tackles on the day. Wasn't the leading tackler. Landon Collins was. But on that touchdown, Cole Holcomb literally, it looks like that ball had to touch the fingertips. I mean, how that wasn't swatted at, I don't know how.
No.
I said the same thing. I was like, how did he get that through?
That ball placement's crazy.
Just one of those. I'm telling you, Hall, I've told you this before. It's like one of those Monday night things. I watched it with Big Ben and Antonio Brown when they came here. Big Ben fumbles a snap, picks the ball up off the ground, doesn't even look at Antonio Brown, just chucks it, and Antonio Brown hits it in stride. In stride. Nothing like this is supposed to ever happen, but regardless. How did I think Jamin Davis did? He had 3 tackles. He did a good job. I think that what they're doing with him is they're almost like reversing what they did with Benjamin St. Juste, where like they're keeping his workload here and not here. And so that way, he's staying where he's at, and he's developing. He's doing a very good job. Cole Holcomb, he's one of the leading tacklers on the team. He's the guy. He's the signal caller. He's gotten guys in position. I wish he could have swatted that ball away. But besides that, I see him as a heat-seeking missile. And this defense is flying around to the football. I can't really blame the linebackers. They're doing what they're being told.
Yeah, like you guys said, they had a pretty much all-around solid game. Cole Holcomb's pretty much doing what Cole Holcomb does, flying around the field, flashing off the screen. I will say Jamin Davis over the past couple weeks hasn't really flashed on the screen like that. I did see him flying to the ball. He did make a couple solo tackles here and there that really stood out. So, like Rio said, it's one of those positions where we expected a lot because he's a first-round pick. People saw him covering Kyle Pitts in college. People saw him get that pick 6 against Tennessee. So they figured, he's going to step right in and be a Devin White
people.
type of – yeah. Look, we all were. So he's not Devin White yet. I don't think he ever will be Devin White. But, I mean, if he just steps in and be the best Jamin Davis he can going forward, I think that he'll turn out to be a pretty good pro.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what. Let me say something real quick. I'll tell you, we'll know when he is taking a substantial step when they're not pulling him off the field on every third down. Because that man is running off the field every third and short, third and long. He's off the field every time.
And so fans shouldn't beat themselves up for being hyped about Jamin Davis and what he could add to this defense. The way you should be looking at it is, holy crap, I'm underestimating how good you have to be to play in the NFL and what kind of level you have to play at in order to be good. It kind of shows you how good Bobby Wagner is and really appreciate the kind of players that they are, because Jamin Davis has that capability to be that guy. It's just it takes time because of how hard the dang NFL is. Now, the next question from Orange Crush, I'm going to ask you, Rio. How's our offensive line going to fare going forward with so many injuries?
Yeah, we pretty much tackled it earlier. I have confidence at this point. Matt Skell is a great coach, and I feel confident that whatever bodies we tried out on that field, that the offensive plan is good enough that we should be able to suffice. I just wish this is not an offensive line thing. I wish Scott Turner would not run a shotgun zone dive on every third down. On every third and short possible. Like, it's the most predictable thing ever. Like, at this point, just quarterback sneak it. But I feel like the line, they'll be all right. They're going to be all right because that's a solid group, man.
I would rather like to see a read option being used, like a triple read option kind of way with the trailing guy coming over, with the motion guy pre-snap, using that as a triple read option between either giving it to the dive or Taylor keeping it or pitching it.
Yeah.
I think
Taylor got wheels.
Giving yourself more options in those scenarios and those pressurized situations is always a good thing, in my personal opinion. I think the offensive line is going to be great. They're going to have to be like the Mandalorian here. This is the way. Next man up, Keith Ishmael. We're going to have to literally punch the ball down people's throats, shove it down their throat, and guess what? You're the next man up. You're going to the one heading it. Get ready, big dude. It's your time now. Make some money. What do you think, Hall?
I love it.
Yeah, Mesco's a great coach. There's great depth on the line. Obviously, like you said, we're down to our fourth center, and he kind of steps in and it almost looks almost seamless. Obviously, he's not playing to Chase Roulier's level or Larson's or Wes Schweitzer's, but still stepping in, doing a sufficient job. Um, yeah, as far as like going forward, I think they're going to be okay. Hopefully, they'll get Sam Cosmi back eventually. I know he's on IR right now.
Yeah, 3 weeks at least.
3 weeks, yeah, 3 weeks.
I'm not sure about Tyler Larson though, or Wes Schweitzer, who got injured last night as well. So hopefully Wes is all right, coming back soon.
When it got bent, I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as like going forward, honestly, the only two like really pass rushers that really scared me on the schedule going forward are Max Crosby, who
He's
we're
very
gonna see
good.
on Sunday, and Michael Parsons, who we're going to see twice coming up in these next couple of weeks. But outside of that, I have full faith that this offensive line can handle any and everyone going forward because at the end of the day, that's pretty much what they've done all season.
Yeah, and then real quick, guys, let's do rapid fire here. Big fan of ours, Paul Murphy asks, how can we convert such dominant displays like we saw last night into bigger scores, Rio?
For one, we need to catch the ball. Like, there's been big shot opportunities. Like, Terry, you're my guy. You're a dog. You got to time some of these deep balls right, man, because that one that went off your fingertips, that was on you. Taylor, we kill him sometimes for his lack of arm strength. He's been on the money with his deep balls, man. We got to hold on to that football.
There was a couple yesterday that he missed, especially on third down. I know Adam Humphries is one. We got lucky with the Logan Thomas penalty. That was a huge one as well, where Taylor overthrew him. Taylor's got to get more accurate in the medium area, kind of there as well. But I will say his deep accuracy is generally very good, Rio. I would agree with you.
It would help to get speedsters like Curtis Samuel and DeAndre Carter out in space too, because I feel like I would love to see more screens to DeAndre Carter and get him a stable of linemen in front of him and out in space, because that dude is electric. Every time he touches it on the kickoff return and it's not a touchback, I feel like he can house it. Like, that's how electric he is, man.
Yeah, and I think honestly the best thing I'll say, Paul, is third down. They were 5 for 13 on third down. If they start converting better on third downs, that's going to transition into more points because you have more opportunities. You're going to be able to capitalize on those. They really did get a whole bunch of yardage in a short amount of time in this game, and that's where I kind of like tiptoes in the favor of Washington, and I see what you're saying there. But for me, it's third down conversions, dude. 41 minutes time of possession. That is ridiculous.
Insane.
Now, our next question, and go to you, Hall, is from our guy, Steve Andy. If the rumors and stories coming out of San Francisco about Lance about to be the 2022 starter are true, is Jimmy G a genuine good option for Washington?
No. Like Rio just said, no.
I agree.
Look, Jimmy G's the type of guy when he's on the field and he's a starter, he got the run game working with him. He's a middle to the pack, like almost top 12, top 15 type quarterback. The problem is he's always injured. He's often injured. And he has those dud type of games where he's kind of just like what are you doing? Like the head scratcher games where it's like you're a veteran in this league. Why are you making some of those throws? So with that all being said, I'd rather just stick with Taylor, keep the momentum going with him. If they're gonna do the type of veteran bridge type of guy quarterback going forward, I'd rather just stick with Taylor and keep the momentum going.
Facts.
Yeah, look, Jimmy Garoppolo's a good quarterback. I'm not going to say he's not. I'm not a quarterback in the NFL. One thing I will say is best thing for him is just to go back to New England and be the backup to Mac Jones in case he gets injured. I think that's the best case scenario for him. He gets to go back Josh McDaniels. Everything would be easier for Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that would probably be the best thing. Now, rapid fire. Last question. Scott Hartley, the Inquirer from the UK. Oi! Rio, this is a really good question for you. Do you see a way we keep Collins and Brandon Sheriff, or is their time in DC done at the end of the season?
I think Landon Collins has a chance to have a role here going forward, but Brandon Sheriff is 110% gone. Like he's out of the door already. Like his bags are already packed to go live in some Midwestern city so he could drink Busch Light, hunt and fish 24/7. He's out of here, man.
Yeah, I do think that if Brandon were to take a pay cut and be interested in staying here and be able to build whatever's here, then yeah, sure. But I think that what we have seen out of this offensive line and what they've been able to generate based on the backups and everything, I think that the price tag might be too much for them to be able to stake that, because they could say we're just going to progress and we're going to build up a guy to replace essentially, and maybe Sadiq Charles could be that guy. Just like Alex Leatherwood, I didn't think he was a tackle, as a guard. Same thing with Sadiq Charles. I think he'd be a great guard, and as a replacement there, it works because I don't think Wes Schweitzer will be back. But Landon Collins, I think is as good as is done, man, because it's one position in particular, and it's a very special position. I know Ron Rivera covets that nickel corner, that nickel back, but if you're telling me that they get a legit free safety that pushes Kam Curls strong safety, and then like maybe they get a replacement in there that's a really good young guy, I don't think they're going to keep him around. It's if they have anything else there, in my personal opinion. What do you think, Hall?
I think if Landon keeps up the level of play he has down the stretch and really like makes game-changing plays and like really is a factor on this defense going forward throughout this rest of the season, I think there's a 50-50 chance that they could bring him back. And I know if they like cut him in the offseason and save like $9-point-something million, so that could definitely factor in because you got to like pay a couple guys coming up as well. But as far as Sheriff, I think he's definitely out the door. I think that if he wanted to stay, probably already would have had a multi-year deal done by now. So, and then they offered him the highest.
They did, and he declined it,
And he declined it anyway. So that sort of told you he's already gone. And at the end of the day, I trust the coaching staff to coach up the next guy in line anyway because, again, they've been doing it all season anyway. So
wouldn't be surprised to see him wind up in Green Bay.
Yeah, perfect city for him.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap us up for this show. Thank you so much for tuning in to us. Rio, I can't thank you enough for joining us, brother. I know for this long span of time, I'm sorry I kind of went overboard, but I appreciate you as always, brother. Mr. Hollywood himself gracing us with his presence. If you real quick, just in case, which there probably isn't, but anybody watching that isn't a subscriber already of your page and where to find you on Twitter and social media, you want to plug your stuff in real quick.
Yep, you can find me on any social media platform at Rio_Robinson91. Check out my YouTube channel, Rambling with Rio, where we ramble about Washington football team, everything on the field, off the field, name change, a little bit of everything on the channel. Come on, check it out, man. We have a good time over here. We keep it fun in the comments, and I keep it raw all the time. Thank you for having me on the show. You guys keep killing it, man. Anytime you need me, if I'm available, I'm gonna be on here, man.
Yeah, I wish we were going to Vegas, Rio. I really do.
Oh my God, I know.
I would love to be there. All right, everybody.
Probably for the best.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Paul.
And
Rio.
And remember what Mr. Curls said. Black people don't eat stuffing. Man. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Friday. Washington football. Woo! Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. And if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified when anything new is uploaded to the channel. Also, we just launched theburgundyzone.com. You can go there and find all of our latest news, articles, and the latest episodes that are uploaded. Again, we also have the Discord chat server, where all of our VIP folks are in, like Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Sergio Martin is in there as well. Don't miss out on the Discord chat server. Go and check that out. Until next time, everybody, Washington football. Woo!